We're going to talk about soil moisture capacity. Soil moisture capacity is making sure that we're all calibrated the same. We're all talking about the same thing. I've been teaching this class for the last 35, 40 years, this same exact class, and I always just use a sponge to kind of teach it because soil moisture capacity is really just about like relatable, like a sponge would be. So the point being, if I take this water and I pour it into this sponge, and that water, we're pretending this is an analogy for soil, by the way, and I pour that water into that sponge, you can see it's getting down in there, right? Getting down inside of that thing, but we got room for a lot more water, right? So we keep filling that sponge up, right? And filling that bad boy up until it cannot take on any more water. And we're just about there. When that sponge gets to where it cannot take on any more water without dripping. See, we're right about there. That is probably 100% of soil moisture capacity. And we want our trees to be at about like that, at about 80% of soil moisture capacity. That's what we're looking for. So you've got your probe here today, and I've got a little different style probe. I have this probe, which works really, really good in soft soils, and you made the comment just a minute ago that this is probably not going to work very well here in this soil, which is a little more compact. So you have an auger probe. So let's go ahead and each of us take a probe. When we probe, we want to, if you have sprinklers, you want to probe in the middle of the diamond pattern of the sprinklers, right? So you're getting all the outlying layers of where that water's hitting. In this case, it's drip line, is that right?
Sprinkler and drip line.
Sprinkler and drip line. So we're going to get right up here by the in the middle of the pattern. There's a sprinkler, there's a sprinkler, there's a sprinkler. So the middle of that sprinkler is going to be right here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a sample out of there. If you want to pull one out of there with your probe too, we'll get a couple of them to look at.
Yep.
So we're going to always test first and second foot. So we're going to go ahead and start here with the first foot. And I'm probably not going to get to the second with this probe. And we're going to pull that back out of there. And look at that. And then the object is to take that soil and make a ball out of it. And what we're looking for is 80% of soil moisture capacity. And I always say 80% of soil moisture capacity will stain your hand without the ball falling apart. So there we go. If we try to wipe that off, we'll see our hand is stained. And we made ourselves a pretty good ball there, but it's pretty crumbly. It's kind of breaking apart. It's not holding together real good. So I agree with your assessment that is probably 70 to 75% of soil moisture capacity. It's real important that we check not only the first foot, but also the second foot. We want to make sure we keep that profile filled up. If you lose the second foot, you'll chase that all year long. So you want to keep that profile built up. So you want to go ahead and stick your probe down in there and we'll get that second foot out of there. I think we'll have to drill that one. Just stick it right in mine. There you go. There you go. All right, let's have a look. Looking kind of dry down there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, not really making a ball very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you are kind of staining there just a little bit, but it kind of wipes right off. It's not really staining your hand. So, so you are a little better in the top foot than you are in the second foot. We're going to have to really put some water to these. We want to bring these up to 80% of soil moisture capacity. 80% of soil moisture capacity should make a ball that you can hold in your hand that won't break apart. And as you squeeze that ball, it will actually leave a stain on your hands. If you find that ball oozing water through your fingertips at all, think of the sponge, right? And water coming out of that. So anything that kind of lets water come out of your fingertips, you know you're above 80%. You're somewhere between 80 and 100% of soil moisture capacity. If that ball begins to fall apart, you're closer to 75 or 70%. We really want to hold those right at 80% of soil moisture capacity. Now look, we have all kinds of technology and apps on our telephone, and I can look on my telephone and pull this up and see this on my telephone. But I always like to dig the blocks. I think it's very important that we dig the blocks and confirm what the technology is telling us. So that's why I'm a real big advocate of doing the maps and digging the blocks at least every other week, making our way around to to that block every other week. The other part of this puzzle for soil moisture capacity is evapotranspiration, and they're going to begin sending those reports out every Monday. Evapotranspiration takes into account the amount of water that's simply evaporating up into the air when you're running those sprinklers, and also the plant usage, the amount that it's estimated based on the heat and all these other factors, how much water in inches is that plant actually using, and that's the evapotranspiration number. Our job is to replace that water and then check and make sure that we're at 80% of soil moisture capacity. So that's kind of the way it works. We'll send out that evapotranspiration report. You'll take that and it'll tell you in inches. Like it might say you need 1.12 inches of water this week, something like that. Just real short math. In the drip that we have and the sprinklers that we have, both of those, right around, this is really rough math, right around 12 hours is going to give you 1 inch of water. So if you kind of keep that in mind, if it's calling for an inch and you give it 12 hours, either in the drip or your sprinklers, it's going to give you about 1 inch of water. So that's how we do it. Soil moisture capacity, we want to hold it at about 80%, and probably the most critical input that you're going to have in the orchard all year long. So that's it.